Hi, and welcome to Learn with Sawgrass, the live edition. I am Rhonda, the Education Manager here at Sawgrass. I do apologize for the late start. Anytime you change the time of something, you realize what meetings happen before or after it. So great apologies there that we are starting late today. And we may adjust this time. It will definitely, since we are only doing one live workshop per week, we're definitely doing Wednesday afternoons. 3 p.m. Eastern may be where we settle, but we're going to try 2 p.m. Eastern a few more weeks and see if we can make this work. We do have one coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be on a different day, and I'll go through that. But thank you so much for joining us. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Again, I am Rhonda, the Education Manager here. I am joined behind the scenes by Rhodes. So Rhodes, who's also a member of our education team, is in the chat. So if you do have any questions or any comments, please feel free to put those in there for us. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So, I'm kind of in this whole new year, new way of doing things mindset. And I really wanted to take some time to talk about where Sawgrass fits in a business. Why Sawgrass, why what we do, why personalization, and kind of go from there. And then we have a couple of products I'm going to demo today as well. So let's go ahead and chat about that. So first of all, just to kind of cover again, if you've never heard of us before, you've never seen any of our videos before, what we're able to do. So we do have the Sawgrass, the SG500 and the SG1000. This is the smaller printer, the SG500. We do have a larger model, but it's not tremendously larger. This printer goes up to 8.5 by 14 in the main tray. The SG1000 would go up to 11 by 17. So the first thing you're going to see is that this is a desktop solution. It is a small footprint. It does not take up a lot of room, and then there isn't a lot of additional equipment to go along with it. It's really just this and a press. And we're going to do a couple of products today. Now, we are historically known as sublimation ink. Sublimation is a process where ink becomes a gas when heated, and it becomes a part of the coating of the product. So all sublimation products do have that poly coating on them. It is going to become a part of that product and always be there. Now, the thing that people have always wanted to do that they couldn't is to go on to products that don't have that poly coating. And for fabric that isn't poly. So wanting to go on to cotton. So with our VersaFlex ink set, you are able to have the best of both worlds. Using sublimation transfer paper, you are able to go onto all of your traditional sublimation blanks without poly coating. And then by putting in the VersaFlex light paper, now you can go on to cotton fabric, pretty much any fabric out there as long as it stands up to heat. And then also you can go on to products that don't have that poly coating like wood. That's probably the biggest add in that arena. You can do some unglazed ceramics as well. There still needs to be a little porousness to it, so you still can't go on to uncoated drinkware, but pretty much everything else is now within the scope of what we can do. Now, one thing before we go too far, you can expand these printers. We do have bypass trays that go onto them, so you can make longer paper or add longer paper. This has an option tray. So with that option tray, you're going to see me do both today. I'm going to do traditional sublimation with the VersaFlex, and I am also going to do a project with the VersaFlex Lite, and I can do both out of the same printer. So again, one of the reasons why, we are such a great addition to a business is because of the footprint. We don't take up a lot of room. You can do tons of prints off of these printers in a day. We do have large facilities, manufacturing facilities that do use our printers in their processes and are doing lots of prints daily, but at the same time, it's also great for smaller runs. So that's where we kind of fit is this personalization industry, because our equipment, whether we're talking about the sublimation side or using the VersaFlex light paper, we produce wonderful photographs. And those photographs are just such a huge part of personalization, being able to add photos, whether it's to a mug or whether it's to a shirt, as we're going to do today, are just a great way to do that. But personalization is so much more than that. It could be including someone's name. It could be including an initial. It may be a project for a school that includes a mascot. There are just so many different ways that you can personalize. And really the sweet spot there is you're not doing 500 of anything. You're doing maybe, I guess, football, the largest team sport, football team, and all their parents. Oh, wait, I forgot my heart. Marching band. But if you're not doing a marching band or a football team and you need to just do 10 of something, it's very easy. Because the machine is so portable, we do have users who carry it to shows where they sell. So there's just so much you can do with it. So let's talk specifically about Sawgrass and why we stand out. First of all, our printers do have a 3-year or 100,000 print warranty. So that is the longest you're going to see out there. And we'll talk more about the service you get with that in just a minute. But you do have that long warranty. With our inks, there is a 2-year shelf life. So from packaging, you do have a 2-year expiration, which is also great. Speaking of our inks, they are manufactured right behind me, right behind this wall. So that is right here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. So it is not something that's pre-made or partially made before it gets here. We start with raw materials. So we do small batch manufacturing in our facility here, and we quality check throughout the process to make sure that it meets our standards. And we compare it to our standard of what the original ink batch was. It's not a moving target. It's the same ink. It should match the same standards as when we first started manufacturing that particular type of ink. So that's something we stand by. I know every person who touches our ink, from the second you put the first batch or first raw material in the mixer all the way down to the person who puts the labels on the boxes. So we are a very close team, and you can stand by the quality of Sawgrass. Other things to know is that our printers do daily self-maintenance. So every 10 to 12 hours that the printer's not being used, it is going to run a maintenance cycle. It's going to push a fraction of 1% of ink through the lines, but by keeping that ink moving, it's less likely that it is going to clog. And clogs are something you don't want to deal with. So we do as much as we can to help prevent that. Now, on the other end, if you do need help, you have lifetime support. That is lifetime support for that printer. So as long as you're using Sawgrass ink in your Sawgrass printer, whether the printer's been out of warranty for a day or whether the printer's been out of warranty for 2 years, we're still assisting you. We do have teams both in the U.S. and in the UK, so we do offer that support. We do have a knowledge base online if you want to try to do some of those steps yourself, but we will call you if you open a ticket and walk you through anything you need. We also have the education, which Rhodes and I are so very proud of. We do have 2 workshops per week. This is the first week where we're doing 1 live, but we do have a recorded workshop that will be live tomorrow. Well, will be loaded tomorrow. We also have our podcast, Ink Differently. We just wrapped up season 2, so check that out. But we try to provide you information in as many different forms as possible to help you. You're going to see maybe next week, if not this week, but you're going to start seeing blogs of these workshops pop up too. So if that's the way you learn, we're going to help you out there too. So Sawgrass does as much as we can to assist you. We do love our users, our friends of Sawgrass, and so we do try to help you along, and that's one of the things you'll see with these workshops as well. Rhodes, are there any questions or comments?
No, we're caught up on everything, right?
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's talk about what products are the best and the easiest to carry. Now, you're going to see as you watch my workshops, if you go back to last year, I can suggest a whole lot of things and a lot of varied things. Even before we added VersaFlex, there is so much that you can do with sublimation. I was in our blank room yesterday. There are puzzles. There are flip-flops. There are slides. There are, of course, t-shirts. There is every kind of drinkware you can imagine. There are trays. There are clocks. There are keychains. There are magnets. So there's so many different things you can do. And then when you add in the whole world of VersaFlex, if you haven't heard it, I love ribbon. Ribbon is my thing. If you haven't seen my latest crafting workshop, please watch it. I made the coolest wreath using photographs on ribbon. So there is just so much you can do, and we're so excited about everything. But let's start small and let's talk about those things that are the easiest adds to your store. So whether you have been using Sawgrass for years and just looking for new things to add, or whether you're completely new, I'm going to tell you the two sweet spots are what they are, and that's going to be shirts and that's going to be drinkware. So drinkware comes in so many different forms. I am a water bottle loyalist, which sadly, because I was in a meeting, I don't have my water bottle, but I always have a water bottle with me constantly. So water bottles are huge for me, but on top of that, all of the different tumblers, all of the skinny tumblers, the handled tumblers, and then all of those various things, and the sizes keep getting bigger and bigger. I did a wine tumbler a few weeks ago. So what you think the best niche is for drinkware, that's where you should really focus. You know, what's going to be that drinkware piece that really is going to work in your market. And of course, you should always sell mugs. Mugs are the easiest thing because mugs are easy to personalize, whether it be photographs, whether it be names. These are things that that don't take up a whole lot of room in your store and also aren't the most expensive of the drinkware. So because of that, they're easy and something that everyone wants more of because they don't take up a lot of room. And I think even people like myself who don't drink coffee, we have at least 10 mugs at home. I also use them as vessels for other things. They're great to then put chapstick or hot chocolate supplies or whatever inside, fuzzy socks. So they're just a really great vessel for everything you do. So I really love mugs. We're not going to do a mug today. We are going to do this, which I absolutely love this particular piece. It is technically a water bottle, so falls right into my sweet spot of what I love, but easily you could transition it into just a regular cup as well, if that's more your speed. So it goes both ways, so it's a really neat little vessel. Really love this one. We're going to do it in just a minute, but before we do that, we're going to do t-shirt. You know, there is so much that you can do with t-shirts. They are such a great product. Because, you know, whether it's the name of something or whatever it may be, t-shirts are just great. This ended up, because I think I may have told y'all I was going to do pillows for Christmas, I ended up doing t-shirts. And so we did artwork on t-shirts. My daughter did the drawings. I did the funny little punny sayings to go with them. And we did a lot of t-shirts for people this year. So that turned out really well. But I'm going to do a kind of a special one today. So let's jump into the My Sawgrass design tool. Now, I didn't really talk about this when I talked about what makes Sawgrass different, but we do have two pieces of software. We have the Sawgrass print utility, which is a desktop app. every user should be using it, and that desktop app is going to help you guarantee that you get the right color output for the product that you're pressing onto. Our other software is the My Sawgrass Design tool. You do not have to use this. You can use our print utility with whatever program you design in, but if you don't have somewhere to design, or you really love the artwork in ours, or you just want something that's the right shape and size, that's where My Sawgrass comes in. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. Now, both programs are free to people who have Sawgrass printers and are using Sawgrass ink. You will see that there are some items in here, and we're going to get in pretty quick, and you're going to see that have diamond icons. You do need that My Sawgrass Plus subscription. It is $12.95 per month to use that. I am going to do a t-shirt today, so I'm actually just going to go with an 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to go into my blank sheets and just do a nice landscape. 8.5 by 11 for this particular one. We're going to let that open. Okay, so I am going to go into elements, and I'm going to use shapes, because if you were to ask me what my favorite feature of this software is, this is it. That we do have these shapes that we can use. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 3 letters that I need for this project. I'm going to grab 2 more while I'm sitting here. And I'm doing kind of a school thing, so I'm going to go with those block letters. I think they're going to work well for this particular project. Okay. And one more. And it's right at the top, so easy to find. Okay. I know I'm going to need to make these a little bit smaller to make them fit. So we'll go ahead and do that. Yep, and I still need to make them slightly smaller, though that is cool too. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line them up off this top line just to make my life easier. And Rose, do we have any questions or comments?
The only comment is from Lori. She said you can't go wrong with 11-ounce mugs. They never go out of style.
They do not.
Yeah, those are eternal.
They are. Okay, a little bit smaller. Just spread these letters out. Okay, perfect. Okay, so with our shapes, and I don't know why, even if I line them up perfectly, the A always looks too big. All right. Okay, so I've got my shapes. Now, of course, I could change the color on these. I could add a stroke, and this would be really great in itself. But by clicking this button, I can actually use this as a shape mask. So I've pulled some photos. And I think I start with this one. All right, we're going to do the next one. Okay. And the final one. All right. Okay. I'm going to go in and I'm going to, once you click back on it, you can adjust the size. So I'm going to make this smaller so I can get as many of the kids in as possible in that letter. I'm going to do the same thing here. Get them in. I think I need to lift this one a little bit. I think I went this way so I don't cut anyone off. I'm going to go up one more. There we go. And then same thing here. Get as many people in there as possible. Move them over so no one gets cut off. There we go. Here we go. All right. And then I'm just going to add one more word. If you've not heard me say it, my favorite feature is that I can go into font styles and use the filter to look for a specific type of font. So I'm going to go with a script font on this. Find one that I like. Nope. That's perfect. All right. Bring this down. I'm going to go ahead and change the color. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about color, I generally go into the range of color that I want and then just look for that specific color. Now, this I could have matched specifically off their website, but didn't do that today. I think that's pretty good. We're going to go ahead and hit print and pull that up in our Sawgrass print utility. I was worried putting photos in there, but by using a group, it's just really a matter of making sure that no one's face is kind of falling in those holes in the letters, in, I guess, faces in the letters. But as long as you're doing that, it works well to do this, and I think this is going to be a cute little design. All right, so we're going to go ahead and send that over to our printer. And that is going to go over to our Sawgrass print utility so we can make sure all our settings are correct. And we'll go ahead and send that. But, you know, as far as shirts, again, whether it's a slogan, whether it's artwork, whether it's an initial, there's so many different things you can do. I would say probably one of the tips I would offer you for a store is make sure you always have the holiday shirts, the special event shirts, those things that especially school kids need for all the special events. If you have an in with the school and can find out about Spirit Week themes, always great to have some shirts for those kind of things too. But the great thing about the shirts, and like we said with a lot of the drinkware, these are not things that people have one of. People do love to have a variety in their home, so it is always great to have these type of things for sale because people are always willing to buy more, which does work so well. Now this again is very heavy on the photo side, and I am on Wi-Fi, so that is why this is taking a little bit longer than you may expect, because it is very, very image heavy. And those are coming up as we speak. There we go. All right, so first of all, I'm going to choose my correct printer. Most of you wouldn't have more than one printer at home, but I do have one of each. It is set to cotton. It is set to letter. Now, my VersaFlex paper is in my option tray, my second tray. So we're going to go ahead and choose that and hit print. And while that is printing, I'm going to go ahead and pre-press my shirt. So with the shirts, we do recommend that you do both a pre-press and a post-press on that. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-press that shirt. I just dropped that right on the floor. Now you'll see I will always take my shirt and line it up. You know, we are going to do this very quickly after it prints. We do want that expander in there to be wet. So you will see me go ahead and line this up so that I have as easy a go of that as possible. Now it is not immediate. So this is, if you haven't heard me say it, this is not a CMYK, this is a CMYE. That expander does get laid down anywhere the ink gets laid down. And so that's what helps it to bond with the fabric. So we do need that to be wet. Now I'm not in a hurry. I do have roughly 12 minutes. So you'll see me kind of push that 12 minutes too. So I do know this is all set and ready to go. I'll go ahead and get that going. All right, here is my print. This one works out pretty well because it does spread all the way across the paper. If I didn't have a lot of paper on the side, I would probably trim it down. It just makes it easier to position it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this in. I've got it about my 3 inches down. Now I use what I call the hover and drop. So as you can see, it is on my fingers. I am positioning it, making sure it's exactly where I want it to be before I drop that down. And then I'll go ahead and cover it. Now this is $3.75. Mine's a little lower just because I'm compensating. But it is $3.75 for 30 seconds. Like we said, we are going to do that hot peel. So I do want to get this off as soon as it is done. That is a lot more important than the going on wet. It does need to go on wet, but it's not as big of a hurry as the doing the hot peel. You do need to get this off immediately. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. Okay, so I did make a mistake. It's a very small mistake and I compensated for it. Where the ink is going to stick down. So I really should have removed some of this extra paper at the bottom because as you see, when I tried to pull something that wasn't stuck, it ripped. If I hadn't have quickly moved to another corner, I could have ended up with the paper sticking because I didn't get it pulled off quick enough. So if I were doing a lot of these, I would probably trim that edge off, make life a little bit easier. All right, so whenever you pull, it is going to pull the fibers up. So what we have found is that it's a great idea to do a finishing press. So I'm going to do another 5 to 10 seconds. I'm just going to put this down. Not burn myself. I've been very good about that in the last few minutes. All right. And I'm not even going to have to pull this all the way. I usually do about 10 seconds, just some pressure on there. I don't even close it all the way. All right. Okay. While I am over here, I'm going to pull my press closed and reopen it just to make sure that it's heating up. And that it is full temperature when I get ready to go in a minute. All right, here it is. We did great.
The photography does look really good.
The photography is amazing. I mean, you know, when you look at other solutions that go onto cotton, this is where VersaFlex stands out. is its ability to do the photos, to be truly a printer. You know, again, when we look at other ways of making shirts, there's just no other one, whether it's vinyl, whether it's DTF, where you really can do photos and do photos that well. Screen printing as well. There's just so many that are out automatically where you can do this so easily with the VersaFlex. And those, I mean, you can, I know who the kids are, but even if I didn't, I could tell exactly who they were. So it's such a great, great option. And really, really cool. I have one that I have planned for a few weeks from now that I'm super excited about. But being able to do photos is such a huge thing, and it just looks amazing. All right, let's go back in. Now, well, before we go back in, sorry, Rhodes. Do we have any questions or comments?
Nope, we're still good on that.
Okay, good. So what I do whenever I'm doing drinkware, this is not drinkware that we have in the program. This is not one that we have a template for, to my thinking. This is kind of a new, cool one. So what I always do in this situation is I take a piece of paper, wrap it around, measure it, and then measure it with my ruler. Now this, I know I'm gonna go right to that edge. I'm gonna go pretty much the full 11, and then I measured down about 4 is my safe spot on this particular one. I did one earlier that was slightly different, but that's kind of how I always measure drinkware. Now again, there's so many things you can do with this, and you know, one of the things I plan to highlight throughout the year is the different ways that you can personalize. This one, I will tell you how I would personalize it, or how I think you can personalize it. But I'm going to go into our designs. I'm actually going to use the filter and go down to our animals. And I think they're pretty close to the top, which is nice. If you haven't seen these new animal designs that we have, these new dog designs that we have, they are absolutely fabulous. And I am actually just going to continue it. So I'm going to line it up off the middle. I'm going to go ahead and just do another set. And I haven't played with this to see how easily I can get rid of some of them, but we're going to see if this will work. All right, let's see if I can do this. Nope, I can't. So I think I can actually make these slightly bigger. And by doing this, cut off that last row the rest of the way. Not the most eloquent solution, but it does work. There we go. So there are my dogs. Now I had thought about possibly adding something like think positive. If I still wanted to do that quite easily, I can go in, I can take a shape. I'm going to take a rectangle, square. And I'm just going to take here. And I can literally just block out that middle set. Make sure he's fully covered. And then I'm just going to make this white. I know the hex code for white is FF, FF, FF. And so now I have a spot in the middle that I could add some text. And I would want to make sure I completely covered it if I did that. But this is another great way to make this your own and just personalize it a little bit. All right, there we go. Okay. And then I would just go in and I would add my text. All right. We're going to go ahead and make that a handwritten font. That works. I think that one does. Yep. Bring that in, and now I have that for my water bottle. Again, you could do the text or you could leave it just the dogs, however you wanted to do that. I'm going to demo that, but since someone's actually going to be using it, I'll leave it as just the dogs. And we'll go ahead and hit print. Now we're going to send this over to the Sawgrass print utility. And we're going to get that pulled up. Rhodes, any questions, comments?
Nope,
Yeah.
you're still good.
All righty.
Group today.
I know, right? First session of the year. If you do have an opinion whether 2 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays works best, please drop that in the chat as well, just so we know your opinion on that. I think Rose and I and some others are probably glad that the 10 a.m. Eastern is no longer on the table. Okay, so that is pulling up my sublimation paper. I got an error on this one. Oh well. I didn't save the one I did earlier. Okay. So this was an older design, I assume, and that's why I got the error. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and save it so we can figure out what happened there. We have seen some issues with that. If it's something that we've like adjusted or cropped, all I did was sized it, so that shouldn't have happened. But that's okay. We'll work on something else. I'll show you another one of my favorite things to do. I do want to save it though, just so we can look at that and figure out why I got an error message. Alrighty.
We have one vote for 3 o'clock.
One vote for 3. All right. Okay. Let's give this another shot while that's trying to save for me. And I'm going to show you one of my other favorite things to do. So I'm going to go into Elements, and I am going into my, actually not going to my graphic library. I'm going to go into my backgrounds. And so we are going there. All right. And so let's go ahead and see if we have another animal design that'll work wonderfully for this. I'll go ahead and make flamingos. Now, the one thing I love about our background patterns is the way our tool works is you can really personalize this and resize this to work the way you want to. So if I needed spacing, which I don't, but I could put that there. I can also make these smaller or larger. So I'm going to make my pattern a little bit smaller. And then we're going to go ahead and hit print. All right. So we'll go ahead and send that over to the Sawgrass Print Utility.
We have a vote for either time works.
Either time works. All right.
Not vote at all.
Yeah, it doesn't really help at all. Thanks.
Lori.
Thanks, Lori. We can make it too. We'll figure it out. Like I said, we'll try to another few weeks and see how that works, and then we'll kind of go from there. See how that works for us. Alrighty. Now for you, if you were to ever have that happen and you got those red X's, not a problem. Reach out to us at care.sawgrassinc.com and we'll help you with that. It may be because I duplicated the image. Could be what happened there. We'll figure it out. We always do. All right. We're going to go ahead and do this on the stainless steel. It is letter size. It is out of tray 1. So all of that is good. I'm going to select the right printer though. And we're ready to go. And we'll hit print. All right, now I know because I am going 11 inches, this is going to be, there's going to be a little bit of a seam on this. Since I'm doing this for me personally, I'm not going to worry about the seam. If it were for anyone else, I would probably do one of two things. I would either put in 8.5 by 14 paper so that I could make up that little bit of a gap, or I would go with a different design. Something where it's not going to be quite so obvious that it's cutting off. But we're going to be fine for this particular project. All right, that is printing. We're going to go ahead and shut our computer. Okay. So there is my flamingo design. I am going to cut this off just a little to make this easier for me. Whenever you are doing something like this that is a full wrap or very close to a full wrap, you do want to cut one of the sides exactly to that edge, so the other is going to kind of meet it. All right. Go ahead and take this part off. I'm going to go ahead and put that around. Yeah, and like I said, there's going to be a little bit of a gap here, and that's kind of how I would compensate normally for that, just so we're not seeing that. But it's going to be fine. All right. Okay. All right, let me check something really quick because I just had a thought. We are not over on time, so I actually am thinking, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I think I may know the answer to why that happened. If it happens to me again, I do apologize, but I think I know. So I do really want that design. So we're going to try this again really fast, because I'm pretty sure I know what I did wrong. Well, I didn't do wrong, but I'm pretty sure I know what caused it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and grab that again. So one thing, because I was thinking that I didn't crop, I didn't adjust in any way. And those are things that can cause that problem. The other thing that can cause it is the fact that I hit duplicate. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to go back and grab it again. If I hadn't have moved it, I wouldn't even have had to have gone to that step of restarting as much as I am. I'll show you on the next one. Resizing shouldn't be causing it, so this should do it. Hopefully. Oh, I can't do it that way. Dang it. All right, so we are doing the flamingos, which is perfectly fine because I can't put 3 designs together without duplicating. So there we go. Learn something. All right, so this is ready to go. We will go ahead and drop it in the press. Now what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to go for 60 seconds and then I'm going to rotate it. This is how you can get that design all the way around, even though the press isn't closing in the middle, since there is that gap. So we'll be ready when it's done and then we'll just flip it.
What's the time and tip for that one?
This one I'm going about 370 I mean, really you don't have to do a full 2 minutes. You can probably go anywhere from 90 seconds to 2 minutes. I'm going to go the full 2 minutes today. So I'm going to do 60 seconds and then I'm going to rotate it and do the other 60 seconds. The only thing that may happen by doing the extended time, really probably the biggest problem, is you get more paper sticking. But the beauty of the stainless steel is the paper washes right off. So this is actually a brand of brand of mug or stainless steel that I haven't used before. So I actually did one earlier, and that's really my biggest thing, was that a little bit of sticking. I did have the temperature slightly higher the first time, and I did, in my haste and rethinking myself, I didn't put tape in the middle. I always put tape across from the seam, and that usually helps a lot to make sure that the paper doesn't buckle. And you don't get any spots where there's ghosting. So I'll show you what I'm talking about as soon as I take this out in just a few minutes. Now again, I don't have to go the full 2 minutes. I could go ahead and pull this probably more at the 1:45 if I wanted to. Okay. All right, counting down. Okay. All right, so what I will often do is I will put tape across from the seam. So since I have tape here, I'll often put tape here just to kind of hold that in place. I'm going to start peeling that so you can see it. All right. Oh my gosh. These are so adorable. Okay, and again, if the paper sticks, and it may, I can wash that off after, so that's never a problem. And this actually turned out perfect all the way around. All right. Have a little spot of the paper sticking. Again, I could probably, I think, reduce my time and maybe my pressure slightly on this to fix that. But otherwise, I really wanted you to see both edges, sorry. All right. I'm going to wash this off, but it's going to be beautiful. And you can see all of that, even though it didn't get the same amount of temperature because I rotated, it does work great. And those birds are so pretty. Those are gorgeous. All right, this is the one I made earlier. Again, a little bit of sticking, but you can see how great that works too. So I'm gonna wash these. We have 2 great new pieces of drinkware in the building. All right, so that's it. Those are my tips for why you need to add sawgrass, why you need to add personalization, and why you specifically need to add drinkware and also shirts, which this is gorgeous, to your store. Now, Rose, do we have any other questions or comments?
I believe we were caught up for the day.
Awesome. So tomorrow you will see another workshop drop into the same playlist on YouTube, and that is going to be all about organizing your files and workflows in the new year. So we're going to talk about Sawgrass Print Utility and my Sawgrass design tool. So
To be clear, that's a recorded workshop. That's not.
that is
live.
recorded. It is not live. Rhodes just had a panic attack. Sorry about that. Yeah, that will be recorded. I say drop, but I really mean loaded. So that will be loaded into that playlist tomorrow for you as well, along with this one. So we will see you again next week. We're going to try 2 p.m. Hopefully I can do a better job. And you have a good day. Bye-bye.